Well, hello there. It is Monday again. Mike and I are going to be down at the shed here, working on the sexy girl table back there. And Mike's a little late, so he'll be here in about 10 or 15 minutes. But in the meantime, I'm going to get started. So let me swing the camera around and show you what we're going to be up to this afternoon. So one of the very first things that we are going to do is try to make the monitor that's inside this little bitty plastic case here fit better inside this hole. And the way we're going to do that is by turning this table over and routing this wood that's right here. We're going to route a little ledge on there so that we can bring that display closer up to the top. It's only going to take about 3/8 of an inch or so on each side. The length is okay. It'll already fit in there. So it should not take too much to get this to fit. I've brought my router with me, and we'll be turning this table over, clamping a guide on, and just routing that out real quick. And of course we need to do that before we mount any other components on there. Otherwise it would be very difficult to clamp the guide on. So that's one of the first things we're going to do. Next, over here, we actually, after we stopped filming last week, we decided we had a couple of minutes left, so we did go ahead and disconnect almost all of this hardware. I thought we disconnected all of it, but there's still a screw in that one. So anyway, but almost everything here, the switches and everything have been disconnected. And so we will need to transfer that from here over to there. However, we pointed out before that there are no holes to give you an indication on the new table of where the stuff is supposed to be mounted. So like we did on the previous table, or the table before that actually, we're going to do a tracing of the back so that we can mark the holes over there. And one of the very first things I need to do is I grab my router. I have it normally at home mounted in a router table. So I need to take this router table base off and attach this round base to it so that it can guide along the guide that we're going to clamp to the bottom of the table. So I'm going to do that off camera. I will get it set up and then I'll probably open up the monitor so we can get a good measurement of how big we need to make the opening, and then I'll bring you guys back. Hey, Mike has arrived and he is continuing on with the stripping of that table. I have opened the monitor like I said, and this black is always so hard to see. Let me go around to the other side of the table. I'll bring you back. Okay, I think the light might be a little better here. You can see that the whole monitor is only about 1/4 of an inch thick, and it's held in by I think about 8 of these little hold down clamps, and the black stuff under it's a little foam rubber to give it some sponginess and bouncing and stuff. It's kind of hard to see the black on black edge here, but there's some tape wrapped around the edge that protects the cables that go in, and those cables from there plug into the board here. But probably the only maybe difficult part of this is I need to unplug the cables just to make it easy to use this, and they're on the underside of this board, so I'm gonna have to pop this board off. I think that's just these 2 screws on the outer ends, and that'll come off, and then I can unplug that, and then we can get to marking and routing this opening. So I'll bring you back when I have I'm going to loosen up these screws enough to get those out of there, take the cables off, and then I'll bring you back and show you how it fits. Okay guys, I got the monitor out of the unit. I measured it. I marked my openings where I need to route it out. I have a bar back in the back I showed you earlier that I'm going to clamp across the table so that I can come in here with my router, and I plan to route this just as deep as this metal on this wood here. Tell you what, let me mark it and then I'll show you. So you can see the line I put in there. We're going to route down to the bottom of that line, basically removing that black mark, and that should be approximately the depth of that. So when we set that down in there, it'll be flush to the bottom, and then we'll just use those little clamps I showed you earlier to clamp it in place, and that's how it'll mount. And then the electronics box will sit on top of this, and it has 4 screw holes in the corners that will reach the wood, and we'll screw that in place, and that'll protect it from the bottom, even though this has a metal bottom, so it doesn't need a lot of protection, except for the wires. So anyway, I will bring you back when I get the guide set up and I'm ready to route. Okay, I have the brace clamped on each end, so it is nice and stable. I have my router depth set to the depth I think I need. I have a fence set up here that should stop me when I get to out as far as I'm going to go, and I'm going to start by just taking a tiny notch out of this and then checking it with the actual monitor to make sure the depth is where I want it to be before I route the whole thing out. Watch your ears. So as you can see, there's a tiny little notch cut out there, and I'm going to check the monitor to see if it'll fit in there. And that looks absolutely perfect. Okay, so let's do the whole thing.
Which way is to throw the dust? This way?
I don't know. It's spinning that way, so it should be throwing it toward you. It's throwing it back my way. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
That must be a really nice sharp.
It is. It's a brand new bit, which is why I chose it. Let's see here. And I need to make it a little wider. I think that'll do it. Okay, just do the other side. Okay, I'm gonna move the fence to the other side and do the other one, and then we'll be done. And with that, the modification to the bottom is done. I'm going to go ahead and set this monitor in here, clamp it down with a couple of the clamps. Doesn't that look nice?
So what are your clamps you're gonna use?
Same ones that they used. So as you can see, the mounting there looks pretty good. There's a slight gap around between the things here. It's a little crooked, it looks like, but we can probably straighten that out when we actually mount it for the final time. And what would you think about 3D printing? Well, let's see, the plastic goes in there.
Right.
So we just need something to cover up this metal here with something black.
Yep.
Or we just take a magic marker.
We could just do like a little bracket, right? Is there enough meat there to get the screw in below that edge?
I would be tempted to just glue it on or something. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be covered with a piece of plastic.
Well, all of this needs to be blacked out.
Right, I know.
And I think, yeah, we can just...
Maybe just mask that off and paint it black,
Yeah.
and then paint this all black. And,
we could do that.
and then we put the plastic in there. And it should be nice and clean.
Yep.
Okay, so that ends this little part. I'm going to turn the table over, remove that, put it away, keep it safe, and we're going to start mounting components. Well, last week we were a little hasty. We took all the screws out of everything here without taking the caps and did we take the flippers off? I don't know, but there's still some stuff on the other side of the table we have to take off. But of course, when we turn the table over, all this stuff is going to fall down. We put a couple of screws in this to hold it in place. I'm going to tilt this over gingerly while Mike tries to remove all those parts.
All right, that's good. Wow, those are two little pop bumper cap screws. Antiques.
Boy, those are.
Make good wall art.
I like the bevel. I don't think the ones that we have that bevel on it, do they?
That's no good.
That's one that goes through that plate, right?
All right, we've got to get rid of the wires that go to the light now. Lean it back to me. That's good. We need to cut those.
Yeah. Yeah. Where's the other wire? Is it under that plate? Okay.
All right, pick it back up. All right, now let me see.
You want to
Let
set
me
it back?
Let me get a bigger screw driver.
You want to try the one on mine? It's
I put the small one on here because I knew I was going after those little pop bumper.
no, not moving at all. You might have to drill that out.
Yeah, I hate.
I know, because we're gonna have to set this down. So we stripped the screw out here, so we're gonna have to drill it out. Okay, you're done.
That didn't take too long.
Nah. Might have been easier than screwing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you got the flippers to do yet? By the way, did you notice that that sexy girl table had clear standoffs?
I did notice
That
that.
and it looked really good. It looked like they were lit up from the bottom. They probably weren't. They were just lit from the light bulbs. But
So why do we need to take everything?
flippers, you need to take the flippers off here.
Well, that's on the backside.
Oh, okay.
That's
You're right. That's right. Allen screw on the backside. You want to grab the end and help me set it up?
Let me just go ahead and get it.
Okay. slightly less than an hour and a half, we have everything stripped off of this table. Once we got going, we just decided it was easier just to strip this table down all the way. Since we needed to do it anyway, we will use this once we scrape it down a little bit to do our rubbings on to get our mounting hole information. And then we will start working on the sexy girl
Transfer.
installation process. I think this is going to end the recording for today. And I am going to be on vacation for a few weeks, so it'll be a while before we post another video probably, unless Mike feels like recording something. Mike is planning on being down here working, but I don't think you're going to plan on doing any recording, are you, Mike?
Probably not.
So there won't be any footage, but it's going to be the process of mounting all of this hardware back on the other table. In the meantime, I'm going to be working on the software, which is almost finished and ready to start testing. So anyway, I was hoping to flip this over and show you the other side of this beautiful table.
Got it.
You can leave those two for later. Now go ahead and take them out.
No, I'm not.
Two more.
I'm not gonna get
Stop
those
now.
knuckle cutters.
That's
They will
it.
Slice
I
you
think
wide open.
That's the last two things. This is a really beat up table. But, you know, the cabinet's the donor cabinet, the logic is the donor logic, so it's
wall art now.
it's going to work. We're going to clean it up and yeah, make it look a little better maybe. Touch up the paint in here or something. Not sure exactly what yet, but
I have a decal that goes right over here.
oh, that'll fix that. Put the decal on first, and then we'll scan it. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. You have a great week.